Good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming this early. I know everyone's been out late this week, probably. So I hope you're enjoying Alt Conference so far. This is day 4. I've really been blown away by the presentation so far. Today we have a lot more awesome things lined up, of course. Ouriel Ohayon, Sally Shepard, Jean McDonald, Jonah Newgas, Matt Thompson, and then this afternoon we have a marketing discussion panel. Jay Freeman, Michelle Titolo, Michael Lopp, and then over at Labs we have a DevTools lab, a DevMate introduction lab, and a core data lab. So the last thing I want to say just really quickly before we get into it is that this entire event is designed for anybody who wants to come. So that's why we do the first come, first serve. That's why we make it free. So if at any time you feel unsafe or unwelcome or something weird happens or somebody says something really weird, find somebody in a blue shirt, let them know. If you can't find somebody in a blue shirt, the front desk can help you, and we will help you out with that. So our first speaker is the co-founder of Appstore. He speaks 5 languages. Whoa. He's an investor in eBuzzing, Outbrain, Eyeview, and Ginger Software, and he founded the French version of TechCrunch. Ouriel Ohayon.
Thank you. Is the microphone working? All right, so I'm going to speak 5 languages, starting with Russian. I'm not going to help. Thanks a lot for inviting me to this session. We're going to talk about app discovery. I assume that most of you are familiar with app stores, iOS App Play Store, and you probably all know that the very first challenge of success is getting your app found and by users in order to get traction, in order to get revenues. And there is no one single developer that doesn't face that challenge. So we're going to talk about that. I want to focus on 3 topics: what's impacting significantly app discovery, what's destroying significantly app discovery, and kind of the way forward, especially with the announcements made at WWDC on iOS 8 that I had little time to digest, but I think that have some impact on the way to think about app discovery. Let's see if the remote works. So first, why am I talking about this topic? Why do I know about this topic? Why does Appstore, why is Appstore any relevant to this topic? Appstore, until last year, was one of the largest app discovery services in the App Store and in the Play Store. We used to publish that application that has been downloaded 12 million times. It was basically a personalized guide with a wonderful experience to help users find the right application for their tastes. And we actually changed direction early this year. We're still operating in the app discovery world, but as an ad network. And we pulled the app from the store and the Play Store. But we've been experimenting with app discovery in every single way for the past 4 years. So we know a little bit about this topic and at scale. So that's why we're going to talk about it. And today, the problem that we are solving, just to give you a quick overview, is we are trying to get rid of those, which are the crappy mobile ads that you see in most mobile applications that are ugly, that are ignored, that are clicked by accident, that doesn't make an app look good, that don't pay so well. And we're trying to build new ad technologies, what's being called in the industry native ad technologies, that are less intrusive, that are extremely beautiful. Maybe I could show you. So here is an example. Let me see if the video works. No, it doesn't. Well, you'll have to believe me. But we have a few formats. This is an in-stream advertising, which you can put in the flow of the application. This is a kind of slider which replicates the multitasking experience. And we have also introduced the first pull to refresh ad unit, which actually removes any necessity to put ads in your app, but place advertising just in the white space when the users pull to refresh. The first results are outstanding. It blows away any performance in the industry in terms of click-throughs, in terms of payout, in terms of conversion. So it's very promising, but we're early in that space. Right, so now let's talk about the topic. What's impacting app discovery? a lot of things that I'm going to say are a lot of common sense, and there is no magical recipe. So I'm going to give you some ingredients, those that I believe are the most important, and you take that away with you, and you can ask me questions in the middle, at the end, but the important thing to remember is that those are just only some ingredients. The first ingredient, and it's the most important, is your app. It's not the activity around your app. It's not what's going to happen when your users get your app in their hands. It's not what Apple is going to think about your app. It's your app itself. And by that, I mean the attention to details that are... Microphone stopped working. Oh, it's working. The attention to details that are going to give not only the first good impression to the user who's going to see it, but also to the user once they onboard your application and use it. So things like the app icon. This is the app icon of Monument Valley, which just happened to be one of my favorite apps, but also just won an Apple Design Award. The attention to detail to app icon is always underestimated. The attention to detail to the screenshots in the App Store and the very first element of merchandising of your app are extremely important. That's pre-download. And that's a critical element to discovery. It really impacts the way people will make a decision on what to download the first time they see it, no matter where, whether this is in a blog post, in an ad, or in a friend's device, etc. The icon is absolutely critical. The elements that are visual exposed in the App Store are absolutely critical. So pay attention to that. And the app itself, of course. If the app is crap, and if the app has no value, and if the app has very little interest, there is no way, no matter how you're going to use the other ingredients that we're going to talk about, that it's going to get discovered in a significant way. The second element that can impact significantly your discovery, and it's related basically to the first one, is the attention that Apple is going to pay to your app and feature it. So if your app is great and make make a device look great, it's very likely it's going to capture the attention of the editorial team, and they're going to feature it. And being featured is going to have a direct impact on discovery. It's one of the largest significant driver of downloads and quality downloads. So, for example, this week Apple has featured Two Dots, which is a simple game made by a couple of guys at BetaWorks, and it drove them to the #1 spot. It will be interesting after this week to see if the app stays over there, but getting the attention of Apple is important. And to get the attention of Apple, you need two things: a great app, great attention to details, and if possibly, some PR around it, right? Usually PR gets the editorial team's attention, and if the PR is positive, it's usually going to drive them to feature your app. Now, there is a few caveats around that. There is being featured and being featured, and you can be featured at a great level. That's the editor's choice. And you can be featured at a minor level. Minor level would be in the subcategories, in the categories, and there the impact is not as great. So it's good for vanity, and you can say, hey, I've been featured by Apple, it's cool, but you're not going to see dramatic numbers in terms of Apple. The second bad news is that when you get featured, it's only for a week, maximum 2 weeks, and then you have a spike of adrenaline, a spike of downloads, and boom, it's gone. So it's not sustainable. All right? All right, the number three thing that impacts dramatically app discovery is that. That are kids and word of mouth. It's absolutely insane, especially since Flappy Bird, the dramatic impact that word of mouth had for apps that are coming out of nowhere, made by basically indie developers that have no budget, that have sometimes not even a relation with Apple. The thing is, there are 500 million iOS devices on the market, and more that are owned by this population, young kids that have a dramatic pattern of talking one another about what they're downloading. And that mostly explain the success of those simple games or simple apps that are popping out of the store. If you're opening the top ranks right now of the apps that are most downloaded, this is the #1 reason. This is the #1 reason. And it's not a marketing budget, and it's not because they've been featured by Apple. They're not even on the map. It's just because kids are talking about this app at light speed and drives a dramatic pattern of download in a sustained way. Related to that event, YouTube has become a very strong driver of discovery lately. And not YouTube as a channel, but some of the channels of YouTube. This, I don't know if you guys know this guy. He's got PewDiePie, and there's a few others. When they catch a title and they talk about it, the spike on downloads is immediate, instant, like it's within a day, and you can see an app pop up. And some mostly explain that Flappy Bird got and some other titles jumped out of nowhere because this guy paid attention. So as much as Apple has an impact on app discovery, those guys do too, and sometimes even more. I mean, look at the number of video views. It's pretty impressive. So YouTube, some channels in YouTube have an impact. So it's important to have that in mind as a developer. How can you capture the attention of those guys, not just Apple? And many times that's something you don't control. You can ping them, you can send them a preview or whatever. It doesn't mean they're going to do it, but if they do it, it pays out big time. Another element that dramatically impacts discovery, and many times I have to say in the US it's forgotten, and that's maybe why speaking 5 languages is important, is remembering that most of the world who owns smartphones don't speak English, and it's not their first language. So localization is a dramatic factor to impact app discovery. And you have no idea how translating an app or adapting the content of an app, starting by the name, the description, the screenshots, and thereafter the app, has an impact on the conversion when a user from France, from Spain, from Italy, from Russia, from Japan is exposed to an app. There are some exceptions. You will find apps that have never been translated that will be hit. So sometimes there was even an app from China that got in the top 10 in the US, not even being translated in English. It was just in Chinese. This app was called Moment Cam. You might have seen transform you in a kind of a comic period, kind of drawing, and it's kind of funny. But those are exceptions. The reality is that you have to pay attention to localization. And finally, the last element that has dramatic impact on discovery is paid discovery. Paid discovery is actually the area we play in, is leveraging all the paid channels that are promoting applications efficiently. And there are hundreds of ad networks out there. The most famous one lately has been Facebook. But there were a few others. Everyone's playing in that space now. Yahoo, Google, YouTube, Twitter, etc., AOL, blah, 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 blah. Not everyone is playing at the same quality of level, at same impact. Facebook is one of the main. And that's how they do it. They just put in the stream an ad promoting an app, and it works. The bad news is that now everyone's jumping on it, and it's becoming more and more expensive, and it's becoming less and less impactful. So mastering the art of promoting your app and getting it discovered via paid channel is becoming more and more challenging. But it has an impact, and it's important to bear that in mind. We could talk hours about how that works, how much it costs, etc. If you have questions, I'd be happy to answer about that after. Finally, the last element that can have some impact on discovery, it's way overrated, but I have to mention it, it's app search. Too many developers think that app search is a key driver of discovery. It is important, but it's far not important. All the stats indicate that search is used in minority by users. They mostly use passive mechanisms like editorial sections, top ranks, etc. And when they don't find what they want there, they go to search. Still, it's important because about 30% of users are searching apps in the App Store. Many times they have queries like, well, anyone knows what is the #1 query in the App Store? Exactly, free. So try to optimize for free, right? Try to optimize your app for free. The #1 is being game. Try to optimize for game. That's not easy. But if you have a long tail app, like for example this one, password manager, it's not really visible. That's the query. Those are the results. You have to optimize that page. There is no scientific way of doing that. Many companies are selling magical recipes. All of that is kind of, gray. There is no scientific way. Maybe now with iOS 8 and the new iTunes Connect, it's going to be better. But that's something that you need to bear in mind. Do I appear in a good way when someone queries, the important query I'm related in. So for example, in Password Manager, what I consider being the best app, 1Password, doesn't rank number 1, it ranks number 3, which doesn't make sense, but that's another problem. We'll talk about that, about how Apple deal with search. So we've covered like some of the big highlights, the big ingredients that are impacting significantly app discovery. There are more, but I wanted to focus on the important one. How am I doing with time? Okay, all right, no answer. I'm going to, what time is it? 9:30. All right, 9:30, I'm good. Still have 15 minutes. We're going to talk now about the most interesting part. What's destroying significantly app discovery? What's making it really hard for app developers to get their app discovered, and even harder as we grow in size, as we grow as an ecosystem, as time goes by? The first thing that hurts app discovery is arrogance. The belief that a developer that has made a great app will rely on the fact that his app is great in and by itself. And what I mean by arrogance is the fact that you're going to believe that just producing a great app is going to be enough. That is absolutely not the case. The App Store cemetery is full of wonderfully designed applications. And the number one reason they are there is because beyond creating a beautiful app or a useful app, it's not been marketed as a business. It's not been thought as a business. So it's very important to be confident in the fact that you can produce something that is great, but it's also even more important to start thinking business from day one. And so, for example, right, one of the things that I think successful developers manage to do is even before they release their app, they start to give a preview. They either produce a beta trailer, or they will reach out to influencers, and they start early on the kind of discovery process, even if their app is not fully ready, right? They won't just stop at, I need to put something out that's perfect. That doesn't work. So being kind of honest with yourself and working the discovery process by your own means using either free techniques or paid techniques is very important early on. And that's really a question of putting aside your ego and your belief and your confidence in yourself and questioning yourself all the time. And that's the number one reason apps or great apps don't succeed. Arrogance. The number two reason is that number. Anyone knows what this number is? That's the number of live iOS apps right now in the store. Actually, it's less than that. That's what Apple communicated. The exact number is 1,120,000. We know because we track it from day one. And but they like to round it up. That's a lot of apps. That's a lot of apps. So when you are out there competing just with the other apps that are doing what you are doing, you are competing with every single app that are trying to capture the same attention of the users. And they're capturing it with all the ingredients that we've seen before. And you're capturing the attention for getting discovered, and you're capturing the attention for being also rediscovered, meaning getting a real estate on the home screen or the key placements in the device. So the abundance of apps is making it crazy difficult and even more over time to get discovered. Let's see. One of the things that hurts most, in my opinion, the discovery or the quality discovery, not what I call the zapping discovery. The zapping discovery is, let's check this app and boom, and I download it and I uninstall it. Quality discovery is actually something that is probably the biggest driver of downloads in the App Store, is the top ranks. I think that the top ranks are the number one reason, probably, or the number two reason, or one of the main reasons why app discovery is broken. And why? Because it's a kind of a fast food way of discovering application. It's an easy way to know what's the signal of what's important, but not really caring for what you really want and really need. You're just browsing what you believe is good for you, but in reality, they're just popular, and there is a huge difference between popularity and what's right for you. And the ranks are built in such a way that they highlight first who gets the most downloads versus what's right for you. And I don't know, every time I look at these ranks, it doesn't speak to me. I mean, it speaks to me as an industry player because I'm interested to know what's going on. But as a device user, as an app user, that doesn't speak to me. And I think it's hurting because the key pattern is I open the App Store, I go to top ranks because it's very, very easy to get access to. It's one tap, and I get kind of this strong signal which leads to believe it's important, but it's not. And all the apps, meaning all the 1 million blah, 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 that are not showing there, basically have a hard time. And it's very, very hard. So imagine that there was no top ranks, you know. Imagine that there was no top ranks in the App Store. You know, it would be easier for more developers to get discovered because users would make more efforts to actually go find what they really needed. But we'll talk about that later. The other thing that's hurting the App Store is the amount of crap that you have in the App Store. The amount of very, very low quality apps that's showing next to you and that don't help the user make a decision when they want to pick something that's right for them. The amount of clones, the amount of low quality, low design apps because there are all sorts of tools that make it easy to approve. The way the review process at Apple is designed, which basically doesn't kind of put a level of quality, of minimum quality of what you should put. I mean, the curate, of course, but you know, the common denominator is very, very low. And that doesn't help. And I'm not kind of bullish on the fact that it's going to change anytime soon because there are more and more ways of creating those that are very easy, very accessible. The most visible moment that fact appeared was once Flappy Bird was removed from the store. And now it's even more visible every day. People thought that was just with Flappy Bird. It's not true. When Flappy Bird removed their app from the store, took place what I call the Flap Store phenomenon. Like everyone trying to create clones of Flappy Bird and kind of game the store around the fact that people were acquiring that query, which was very popular, and gain visibility in the store. And behind that, you have a whole industry which people will call nicely the reskinning industry. What they do basically is that they're selling app templates that you can change, that you can tweak, and make it extremely easy to build a clone of whatever in no time, in one day work. You just change a little bit the icon, you know, game the name, game the keywords, game the description, and boom, you get in the App Store. So Apple has kind of a random kind of attitude here. On one side, they say you cannot, you know, clone something that's been popular. On the other side, they reject some, but they allow most of the others. And that's really hurting all the other guys that are putting so much effort in creating great apps trying to get discovered. And there is a lot of those. Like today, let's look. Those are live examples. The number 2 app in the App Store. So that's kind of also the funny thing. The clone is becoming more popular than the original, right? So the line, which is here, number 2, is more popular than the original, which was stay on the line, which is not a clone. I mean, it's a popular gameplay, but it's kind of arrived first. And Make It Rain, Vegas style, now it's another one, Make It Rain, Rich and Famous, doesn't matter, it's another clone, is more, 5 minutes, is more popular than the original created by those guys. Here is also an example of what you're getting in the App Store, looking at, stay in the line in the search queries. The other thing that's hurting also the industry is all this paid industry that driving that dark patterns, right? It's very easy today. It's very, very easy today to buy bot services or download farm services or services that pay users for reviews, which is prohibited by the App Store. You just have to Google it. The first result is one of them, right? But I'm receiving every day emails of services doing that. There is even a company kind of TaskRabbit-like that does that. And I think it's really, really bad for the industry, and that's kind of confusing the users and sending wrong signals to the industry. And even Apple has created a tool, a new language that makes it even easier to create a clone. Right, let's talk a little bit about iOS 8. iOS 8 has introduced a few things that are going to have some impact on the way you have to think about app discovery. Let's just review some of them very, very quickly. The first one is that they are basically overhauling the search experience. Instead of horizontal, you'll have vertical results, which I think is the right way to do it. Horizontal scrolling is painful to the thumb. They will put also more information like related search, editor's choice. So that's important. They will also give app previews with video. So video is going to be a dramatic driver of discovery, the same way the app icon and the screenshot. So producing a nice quality video is important. App bundles, like if you have a good set of apps, you will be able to create packages at a discounted price and get more discovery from your existing users. They have also kind of out-of-store discovery mechanisms. At the time they introduced the smart manner in deeper with search, so you can search something and it will, in Safari or Spotlight, show the results there. But for me, oh sorry, one more thing, it looks like they're going also to use location-aware discovery where you can, no one knows exactly how it's going to work yet, but you can have some of your apps showing up if they are relevant to location. But for me, those are cosmetic changes. Apple, at least, has not given indications that they are going to dramatically review the pipes of what generates a discovery in the store. And for me, there are two things. Number one, the way top ranks are computed and the algorithm related to top ranks, which are right now oriented toward download velocity versus the quality of an app versus the usage of an app versus all the signals that are not indicating that an app is right. And the number two is the personal store, right? If you think about it, the store, the App Store, is made the same for every one of us. You enter in the App Store, you enter in the store, we'll see exactly the same thing. That doesn't make any sense. We have different tastes. We have different opinions. There are things we like, things we don't like. We shouldn't be able to just go by what Apple tells us. We should be able to go by what we actually want. A company that's doing, is a start of doing that the right way is Google, actually. The Play Store shows you first what's right for you. It'll recommend it for you. It's like kind of genius done right. And you have some more control on how you can personalize the experience. And for me, the next great improvement of the store will be when Apple will understand that the store has to be personalized for every single one of us and not just what they think is right for us. That's it. I'm on Twitter. You can follow me. I post a lot of interesting insights on the store, on the industry. And if you have more questions, we have 2 minutes to discuss this very big topic.
Hi, great talk.
Thank you.
I wondered about, most of the kind of the, I guess you call them the one-trick pony apps that don't really do much. They provide maybe 5 seconds of entertainment, but then just bombard you with a bunch of ads because I guess that's how they're making money.
Yeah.
For those apps, are they making it to the top because they're just really they really provide a lot of entertainment to the users, or they're dumping a lot of money in marketing to get the app to the top?
No, they're absolutely not dumping money. I mean, some are buying some bot services sometimes, but the majority is not. And it corresponds to kind of a anti-pattern of looking after something that's extremely simple and that's extremely casual. It corresponds to the kind of kid audience that now is large and big enough to impact the download volume when there is word of mouth. Mm-hmm. So there is this audience now, and they're looking for things like that. So I think it truly corresponds to a real demand of some large subsection of App Store users who really want something simple, casual to consume while on the go.
So you are saying it's for the most part organic?
Absolutely. Some of this is gamed, right? So when a clone is coming up, they will, for example, leverage the fact that people are going to look for a popular title, right? Whether this is Spot the Line or Make It Rain, and then they will kind of leverage that. But the true origin is that people want something simple, as much as they want something that is not simple, but that's another population. More questions? That's it? No? All right.